Would guidance from an expert help you to grow your business or career? Or do you seek inspiration for you or your kids? If so, welcome. Behind the Words TV gives you that one-on-one time with famous and emerging authors or content creators. They'll take you where you want to go. Behind the Words TV, right now. Are you too liberal? Are you too conservative? Are you too anything? What do your friends tell you that you are politically? In today's bitter, partisan landscape, it's hard to know what to be. I think we need to focus on figuring out what our political philosophy is. And if you agree with that, we're in for a treat today, because today's guest on Behind the Words TV is Larry Bradley. Welcome, Larry.
Hi, how you doing, Paul?
I'm great. Great to see you again. How's your day going down there in Kansas City?
Lovely.
Okay, super. Well, you ready to talk some politics?
Absolutely. Every day.
No, every day, all day. You bet. That sounds like Larry. Well, I'm Paul Madsen, host of the program, founder of growmedia.com, and this is Behind the Words TV. And Larry, that political philosophy thing, tell me about it. I mean, do most people have a political philosophy?
In my opinion, no.
No.
They have an affiliation.
Oh, what does that mean?
They describe themselves as conservatives or liberals or independents.
And what's wrong with that?
Well, tell me what that means in 50 words or less. Not just telling me what you're for or what you're against. You know,
in 50 words. In 50 words. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, because guess what? People, you say I'm a liberal, and they start. And if I said, what does that mean? Then they go off on this long tangent, or conservative, a long tangent about an issue. So tell me more. Tell me what it means to have a philosophy.
Having a philosophy means that you are consistent in your beliefs. Okay. You put it another way. I first learned about this concept by being a student of a man named Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N.
Okay.
Jim talked about that you needed a philosophy of life, that without the philosophy of life, that you are like someone in a sailboat who doesn't know how to set the sail. If you can set the sail, then you can get this sailboat to go the way you want it to go, no matter which way the wind is blowing. But when you don't know how to set the sail, you're going to go the way the wind is blowing, not the way you really want to go. And so I see so much in our political discourse that we have people that when they're in power, they take one approach to a problem. And then when they're out of power, they take the exact opposite position towards it.
You know, that's true. That's true.
Exactly. You know, and you can't do that. Think of here's something really current as I sit here and record this. We're talking about the debt limit. Okay, and there's one of the elected officials who, while President Trump was president, said, "Oh, we can't not raise that. That would be disastrous. We must raise the debt limit." And now that President Trump is out of power and we need to raise the debt limit again, what is he saying? Oh, that would be bad. Come on, guys. You know, it's one way or the other here, and it shouldn't be.
You know, that's really a good realization. I hadn't thought of it, but you know, I hear it and I see it. But you're right. I mean, too many times someone's in power and they say one thing, and then when they're out of power, they say and do another thing. And that's on all sorts of issues. We could go on for hours about this and examples of it. And, you know, because I'm thinking about, well, let's just, and not to make this too current or anything, but the immigration debate, you know, this would be terrible under a certain person. And then under another person, this is terrible or this isn't terrible. And that to me says they don't have a sail that is set.
That's right. You don't have a consistent philosophy because if you don't have a consistent philosophy, if you're not consistent, then you're a hypocrite. And of all the things that you want to be described at, is hypocrite one of them? I don't think so. You want to be consistent. talk about parenting, you talk about leadership. What is one of the key elements of being an effective parent or effective manager? It's consistency in your policy from time to time.
Right.
Now, in neither liberal nor conservative B, I teach a philosophy of looking at problems, first of all, defining the problem, and then seeking a solution that asks this question: what is the solution that gives us the greatest amount of good for the largest number of people for the longest period of time, as balanced against trying to do the least damage to the fewest number of people for the shortest period of the time, is the one that is least susceptible to unintended consequences and is affordable within the competing priorities of the day. Now, if you're always asking that question, you're always going to pretty much come up with the same answer over and over and over again.
So
and that means progress, because you keep working at solving it. Okay, here's the problem. We're trying to work on it. Okay, let's try this. Oh, that didn't work. Well, the problem is still the same. Okay, if that didn't work, let's try this other thing. Bang, bang. You know, we keep going after it. You know, a philosophy like that, I mean, it's a simple philosophy. It's just like, and you could develop your own philosophy or whatever. You know, I like mine, but if they're the last movie that John Wayne made, he had a philosophy of life, you know, and he said, you know, I lived in the wild country and I had to have a philosophy. And he said, I will not be wrong. I will not suffer an insult. I won't be laid a hand on. I don't do these things to other people. I require the same of them.
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Well, that's a pretty guiding principle. He set his sail, and it's a guiding. It makes life easier, doesn't it? I mean, it just helps you focus.
You know, yes. And my philosophy is this. Therefore, here is this problem. Okay, so how do I apply that philosophy to this problem? Then that feeling of consistency, that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm being true to myself, solves an awful lot of conflict, personal and otherwise.
Well, I know your book, Neither Liberal Nor Conservative B, helps address some of these kinds of things. My big question in a few minutes or less is how do we ourselves dial in and formulate and tighten up our own political and other consistent philosophies? And second part of the question is, how do we help our elected officials to do the same? Because I can see a lot of benefit from that on both personal and political sides. Big question, short answer.
Short answer. Seek the balanced answer. Okay, think of as you enter a harbor. Okay, they've gone down. They know how deep the harbor is, and so there's a marker on the left and there's a marker on the right. And so you try to stay left of the one on the right and right of the one on the left. And you know you're going to be in the deep water. You know you're going to be there. That's what we try to teach in Neither Liberal Nor Conservative B.
Well, I encourage readers, viewers of Larry and of mine to pick up a copy of Neither Liberal Nor Conservative B, an action plan for people disgusted by polarized politics. Seems like you wrote it yesterday with today's climate. Anyway, that'll help people with formulating their political philosophy. Larry, I really like the thing about 50 words or less, not talking about an issue forever, beating that to death, but who are you in 50 words or less politically and in other roles of your life. Larry, thanks for joining us on this segment.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it, Paul.
Take care.
You too.
Are you dissatisfied with how your government operates? Most of us are. And if that fits you, well, then you're in for a treat with today's guests on Behind the Words TV. Hi, I'm Paul Madsen, founder of Grow Media, and welcome Larry Bradley. Hi, Larry.
Hi, how you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great. Glad to have you along for another segment of Behind the Words TV, where we're talking about government inefficiency or operations. Does it work like it should, Larry?
No. I think you'll
find a loaded question.
I think you'll find very few people who would say they're pleased with how government works. Most people would would characterize what they find in government is either too much of what they don't want or not enough of what they do want. And
Right.
they wonder how in the world can we get this government to function so that I get what I do want without overkill, and that sort of thing, so that the majority of us are satisfied with how the government functions. You're never going to satisfy everybody.
No.
Okay, and let's just face the fact of that. But you can get to the place where the majority, a strong 65, 70% majority, are satisfied with that.
How do you do that? That sounds really pie in the sky to me.
Well, one of the things you need to do is stop saying that you want a liberal government or you want a conservative government.
But that's how we're built. That's how we think.
Yes, I know. And our media contributes to that
All the
thought
time.
process. Okay. Versus that we need to give them a new thing to evaluate government by. Think of this. Think of all sorts of organizational enterprises that you follow closely. Think of a sports team. Think of a bank, a rental car company, a manufacturer, an airline, a hospital.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when you think of those words and you think of the best in those categories,
right,
what words do you use to describe them? Well, you use words like forward thinking,
okay,
innovative, efficient, skillful, effective, flexible, responsive, consistent. Okay.
one more, focused. I mean, I think of my favorite football team, which I like the Chiefs. They're in the background too, but I have a team I won't name. not a big secret, but every, I think, pro football team, for example, enters the season. What is their number one focus? Can we win the Super Bowl this year? How do we win the Super Bowl this year? So when you take all those words you just mentioned, how does that work with and for the whole government question?
Well, it's the idea again. All those organizations I named, all those adjectives I used.
Right.
Okay. You notice that liberal or conservative wasn't one of
them. Bullseye.
Okay?
Bullseye.
And so, to me, what's the problem? Well, the problem is the way we run our elections. We put people in place who do not use the classic and proven management techniques
right,
for government.
Right.
And by that, I mean, every military school you go to, every management school you go to, they all teach the same thing. And that is, okay, define the problem. In medicine, they say that proper diagnosis is 90% of the cure. Okay. So then, if here's the problem, then what are the alternative solutions? What are the pluses and minuses of each one of those alternative solutions? Which of those solutions is likely to work the best? Right. This one. Okay, let's implement it. Let's see what happens with it. That is classic management. But we, in our government structure, because of our politics, as I say, we put people in place who are not able to do those things. I'll say this too. I listened to once a interview of Stephen Covey, and Covey said that in our system of government, for it to work, we need for the people we send to represent us to be able to make deals. And to make deals, they must be able to have trust. And the system we are using to elect people destroys trust. Oh. They show up to be sworn in with trust already destroyed.
Well, and that makes sense because of sometimes the switching in philosophy, like we talked about sometimes. And I want to go back to that I think it's maybe a qualifications question. I mean, we elect people for a lot of the wrong reasons, like you say. And I mean, a person with a certain ineptitude in management skills or leadership skills would last in very short time in any of those enterprises that you mentioned, right?
Exactly.
But yet in government,
they wouldn't be tolerated.
How do they keep getting reelected in government?
Because of the way we run our elections.
Wow. Okay. Well, we should talk about that in another segment, I think, because that's a very interesting topic. So yeah, I mean, what can be done with today's government to help improve its efficiency? I mean, how do we impart those philosophies that you just mentioned, those focus techniques or whatever the word is, uh, onto government? How do we project that to them and help them to become more efficient in order to meet our needs, to get some of that liberal and some of that conservative out of there?
It's you remember Murphy's Law, that what can go wrong will go wrong. Okay. And one of the best corollaries of, or most knowledgeable corollaries to Murphy's Law is that before you do anything, you have to do something else first. And for us, the something else is to change the way we do elections. If we change the way we do elections, then we'll put people in place who will be able to use the classic proven management techniques to run government more effectively and efficiency, and to give us better results from that government.
Well, that sounds kind of dreamy. Is that, where do we start? At the local school board, or at the president of the United States?
Start at all levels at the same time, because we have problems at all levels. It's all a matter of changing, in particular, the ballot. And as you say, we could talk about that in the next segment.
Well, it's too bad someone hasn't written a book with a roadmap toward this. Do you know anybody that has done that?
Well, let's see here. There's this book.
Oh, there's that one. Neither liberal.
Yeah, and there's also this DVD program.
Tell us
Why
about the
two-party
DVD.
system isn't working anymore and what to do about it.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Why the two-party system isn't working anymore
No.
and what to do about it.
Larry, these are topics that are just perfect for today's age and today's climate and what's going on in the political world. Last word to you about improving government efficiency. You're on, go.
As I say, you have the situation you have because of the way you run your elections. If you want less contentious instances, you want better and more effective and efficient government, then change the way we do our elections.
I'll leave it right there. Larry Bradley, president of the centerstrikesback.org, author of Neither Liberal Nor Conservative Be. Check it out. Larry, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Paul. Appreciate it.
You bet. Is government inefficiency due to the way we elect our officials? Today's guests on Behind the Words TV think so. I'm Paul Madsen, host of the program and founder of growmedia.com. Larry Bradley, welcome to the program.
Hey, Paul. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, you have some ideas, I hear, on the whole idea of government inefficiency. Who would dream that government's inefficient? and maybe some of the causes about that. Larry, tell us more about that.
Well, it's most people, if you were talking, government is inefficient and ineffective in their opinion. They're either getting too little of what they do want, right, or not enough of too little of what they do want, or too much of what they don't want. Okay.
Taxes.
and with taxes, policies, et cetera, et cetera. And the way we're running elections is we think of it as a horse race,
right,
rather than as a hiring decision. And we've got to make some changes to how we do it. The reason that you have the behaviors and the outcomes that you have from government today is because of the way you elect the people to represent you.
And what does that mean? I mean, we elect people. We have a couple good candidates, or one major party, the other major party. I mean, we've done this system for years. What's the problem?
Yeah, that's it. We brought something ineffective and inefficient with us from England, and we continued with it ever since the Revolution.
Wow.
And that's the ballot that we use.
Huh.
The ballot we use is called, in technical terms, the first past the post ballot, which is why people think of elections as horse races.
Right.
Or, in other words, the person who wins is the person who has the most votes.
Right.
Now, there's a difference between having the most votes and having the majority.
Okay.
If 1,000 people vote in an election,
okay,
a majority winner is somebody who got 500 votes plus one or better. Make sense?
Yeah.
1,000 votes, 500 plus one or better. Okay.
Right.
Now, But if you have 3 or 4 candidates running, then somebody can win with maybe 350, 400 votes. That means that 600 people voted against the candidate who won. And we have no recourse because of that ballot.
Right.
A lot of people say, well, then let's have runoff elections. Well, guess what the turnout is for runoff elections? It's hard enough for people to show up once. You ask them to show up twice, to have to take off from work and sort between the 2 candidates. No, it's just terrible. And so what over 50 cities now in the US have done, and counting, you're getting more with every election cycle, and 2 states have done, is to go from the ballot we use today to something called ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice voting. Okay.
So a lot of people, okay, well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
So let's get into that just real quick.
Break that down, please. Yeah.
Let me try to use a little thing right here. Okay, this is the ballot that you use right now.
Okay.
Okay, and so it has several flaws in it. So you have the list of names and 1 row of ovals, and you're only allowed to vote for 1.
Right.
So when you have multiple candidates, what that means to you is there's the candidate you're totally opposed to, the candidate that you normally vote for, but you're not really satisfied with, and a third candidate perhaps that you really like and you'd like to vote for them, but you're afraid to vote for them. Because if you're afraid that if you do, then the candidate that you're totally opposed to, you're enabling them to win.
Right.
So in baseball, they say that you can't steal second with your foot on first. And this ballot keeps your foot on first. And what's more, so you're afraid of wasting your vote.
Right.
You're having to choose between the lesser of 2 evils. And what's more, you're not guaranteed that whoever wins with 50% plus 1 or better.
Right.
So this is the ranked choice ballot.
Okay.
Okay. So you have the same row of names, but now you have several rows of ovals. How many rows of ovals you have is determined by the capability of the voting machines you're using and state law. Okay. So you mark your first choice in the left-hand column closest to, second choice here, third choice, fourth choice, fifth choice. Now we do a total. We do a total calculation. Does somebody have 50% plus 1 or better of all the first choices?
Right.
Okay. Answer yes. We have a winner. Thank you very much. Just like any other election.
Right.
But if nobody has 50%, which candidate has the fewest first choice votes? We toss them out. They are defeated.
Okay.
So we go to their records for everybody who voted for that candidate as their first choice, who, if anyone, because you don't have to rank candidates, but you're now allowed to, your vote transfers to the remaining candidates that you marked as your second or third choice on the ballot.
Okay.
So now we recalculate. Do we have 50% plus 1 or better? Answer yes, we have a winner. Answer no. Well, okay, who's the lowest vote getter now? It's this one. They're defeated. Same process. Okay.
Right.
Look at their second and third choices, allocate amongst the remaining candidates, recalculate. Do we have 50% plus 1 or better? You see how this might work out better for everybody?
So the whole point of it is to have more than one choice, I guess. I can vote for my favorite person, and if he or she is not clear majority winner, well, then I still have some skin in the game. I get to have another choice, and actually, I could see how it spreads out. I guess just makes it more spread out, more even. It's not so married to the whole majority winner rule, right?
Well, it is truly a majority winner now. Now you can vote without fear for the candidate you really want to vote for, without fear that the candidate that you detest will win.
You bet. Well, tell us
if that other candidate you detest gets a majority on the first ballot, you got no recourse, but you never did anyway.
Right. Well, give us some real world examples of cities or counties that have used this and what problems they may have avoided because of it.
Well, for one thing, I'll put this down.
There you go. Yeah. we point made, right? Okay, cool.
Yes. New York City, as you may be aware, used this for the first time in its mayoral primary elections this past spring.
Okay.
They saw you by using this ballot
2021. Yeah. Okay.
in 2021, they saw a 24% increase in voter turnout.
Really?
Why? Because
Wow.
people weren't forced into either or choices.
You know,
Okay?
it's that you just hit something that made me think. You know, I hear too many people say, well, I didn't vote because I hate both candidates. And so maybe that's why New York City had a much higher turnout. Do you think?
Exactly. 80% of those who voted marked at least two candidates. Of the 20% who didn't, when asked, 80% of that 20% said the reason they didn't was they didn't feel there was another candidate worth voting for,
Wow.
that they would have if there had been.
But that nice because it gave them a choice. I just finally had my aha moment here, Larry, about the fact that, you know, too many people say I'm not going to vote because I don't like either choice. Well, this gives them several choices. And that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yes. Think of, let's just use a for-profit, a business example.
Okay.
Automobiles. You may have a car manufacturer that you really like, and there's another car manufacturer that you just would not buy their product because it doesn't meet your criteria for what an automobile should be. All right.
Okay.
In today's environment, if that manufacturer that you don't that you like suddenly dropped its standards and was no longer making the product that you wanted anymore, and you needed another vehicle,
Right.
now you're not forced to go to the other one. There's what, 6, 7, 8, 9 other manufacturers of automobiles that you can go to. And knowing that, what do you think that your manufacturer is doing? They're working every day to make sure that when it's time for you to buy another automobile, that they're going to buy their automobile for yourself and not somebody else's. Don't you think we would have the same impact on our politics if we had the kind of choices that we have here?
Well, I think that's a fantastic analogy that the car manufacturers can spread it out. You get all sorts of choices, and those who are maybe second, third, or fourth fiddle are going to work even harder. Remember that old advertising phrase, at Avis we're number 2, so we try harder. Well,
Exactly.
ranked choice voting is a way to really spread that out and get us some more choice in our elections, improve the getting the right people in the office. Larry, as we go, tell us about your book.
The thing that I really talk about ranked choice voting in is my DVD program, Why the Two-Party System Isn't Working Anymore and What to Do About It. Remember that when we go to ranked choice voting, we are now guaranteed majority winners. It's the path to political peace for all of us, because when all is said and done, the majority, 50% plus one or better, of all voters are going to be able to say one of two things. So-and-so was my first choice and I'm glad they won. Or so-and-so wasn't my first choice, but they were one of my choices and I'm glad they won.
Bottom line, they were one of my choices. Larry Bradley, the neither liberal nor conservative B, thanks for joining us today on Behind the Words TV.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
You bet.